Thom Hartmann here on the best of the rest of science and green news. You need to know this. The International Monetary Fund says that now is the time to put a price on carbon. According to a recent article over at the Think Progress blog, last week IMF Managing Director Christine Lagarde said that climate change is now a macro-critical issue, and carbon taxes have proven to be a big success in the effort to expand clean energy. For example, the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, which is made up of 9 northeastern American states, has already saved customers $460 million in energy costs and added $1.3 billion to the regional economy. Earlier this year, the IMF announced that governments around the world needed to reduce the $5.3 trillion being spent every year in fossil fuel subsidies. Now they're taking that advice a step further by offering their help to nations that want to make the fossil fuel industry pay for their own pollution. Lagarde said, "What we can do is certainly provide strong advocacy for things such as removing subsidies that actually go to the wrong pockets. What we can do is provide tools for countries to actually set the right policies, including externalities." In other words, we now have plenty of evidence to show that carbon taxes work, and the IMF wants to help nations make sure that those carbon taxes are priced correctly. It's long past time to stop subsidizing the destruction of our planet and start incentivizing the switch to clean energy. The primary purpose of the IMF is to ensure the stability of the international monetary system, and they recognize that our current system is unsustainable. We can't continue to subsidize the oil industry, and putting a price on carbon is the best way to fix our broken system. Our oceans are in serious trouble. For the third time in our recorded history, a major bleaching event is wiping out coral reefs from Hawaii to the Indian Ocean. According to a group of scientists at NOAA, increasingly warmer ocean temperatures pose a serious threat to 95% of all U.S. coral reefs. Global warming, a strong El Niño season, and an unusual warm water mass in the Pacific are all contributing to warmer ocean temperatures, which coral reefs can't survive. By the end of this year, NOAA expects that more than 4,600 square miles of reefs will have perished, died, and that's bad news for the rest of our oceans. Coral reefs act as nurseries to thousands of fish and marine species, and they act as a natural barrier to protect the coast against extreme weather. When coral dies, fish species often die with them, and the entire marine ecosystem in an area can fall apart. That sets off a chain reaction as fish try to survive in other areas and often disrupt those ecosystems as well. If our reefs disappear, we lose far more than beautiful ocean scenery, and they could take decades or longer to grow back. For the sake of our oceans and our species, we must get serious about protecting our oceans and the amazing coral reefs they contain. It turns out that there may be slackers in every species. According to a recent study in the journal Behavioral Ecology and Sociobiology, some worker ants are really lazy. In order to study how ants in a colony interacted, scientists marked every member of 5 different colonies with different colored paint. Then, with the help of a high-speed camera, the researchers were able to study the ants over a 2-week period. Surprisingly, they found that more than 70% of so-called worker ants were completely inactive more than half the time, and almost 1 in 4 were never active. Out of all of the ants they studied, fewer than 3% were always working. Although previous studies hypothesized that the inactive periods were simply a matter of ants working in shifts, this study concluded that the same worker ants always worked, and the lazy ants were always lazy. Scientists say that this may be the result of some ants being too old or too young to work as needed, or it may be simply that every species has its own set of slackers. It's always easy for small countries to institute big changes, but that doesn't lessen the importance of the latest news out of the small country of Bhutan. According to a recent announcement out of that tiny mountain nation, their agriculture will soon be 100% organic. As a primarily Buddhist nation, people of Bhutan typically live according to the tenets of their religion. For the population of only 700,000, that means living sustainably, protecting their environment, and practicing good governance. That nation even rejects the use of GDP as a measure of progress and relies instead on a measurement of gross national happiness. So it's not surprising that the nation is going organic. In an interview with the Think Progress blog, Bhutan's agricultural advisors said, quote, "Organic farming was very much a part of the gross national happiness. You cannot think about applying chemical fertilizers and pesticides and say that your country is happy," end of quote. Whether it's for happiness, health, or otherwise, great news that Bhutan has gone organic. And finally, Maybe Americans will get serious about climate change when they can't have their pumpkin pie. No, seriously. According to the world's largest supplier of canned pumpkin, their annual yield has been cut in half because of extreme weather. Libby's Pumpkin, which supplies 85% of all the canned pumpkin in the world, said that they will have no reserves to ship after they send out this year's stock for the holiday season. As the company's brand affairs director explained, that means we will have no pumpkin to ship until the next harvest, which will begin in 2016. Considering the natural disasters, superstorms, mega droughts haven't convinced our Republican lawmakers to act on climate change, it's unlikely that anything will interfere with their support of the fossil fuel industry that funds their campaigns. But who knows? Maybe the loss of one of America's favorite holiday desserts will force them to get serious about our climate crisis. And that's the way it is for the week of October 19th, 2015. I'm Thom Hartmann on Science and Green News.